Week number 3 on my carnivore diet has been an absolute disaster, and in this video I'm going to tell you all about it. Okay, before we talk about that, let's go back to the beginning, because if you're tuning in for the first time, you need to understand a little bit about the backstory and how I got to this stage. So first of all, back in July of 2022, I decided at the age of 57 that I was going to become a professional athlete. Yes, my goal is to become a world champion at the UTMB race in Chamonix in France by the time that I'm 60 years old. So I've got 3 years effectively to train and to win that race in my age group. That is my overall goal. So I'm a full-time athlete. And as of July of 2022, I decided that every day I was going to start running and making myself accountable to reach my goal. So I set off on that journey and everything was going absolutely fantastic. I was having coaches coming on board and helping me out with training programs and understanding how I can run more efficiently and better. And as the months ticked past, I started to improve dramatically my times, and I was feeling really, really good. Now, over the course of the last year or so, I've been doing a lot of research on the carnivore diet, and in particular with athletes who are elite athletes who are on the carnivore diet. And from doing that research, I came up with the idea that I wanted to look a little bit more closely at the carnivore diet. Now let's fast forward to December in 2022, and in particular on December the 6th. And something happened that day that perhaps has changed my life forever. I got COVID. And like many other people, I had been vaccinated against COVID, and of course I got COVID. My wife got COVID, my mother-in-law got COVID, so the whole family at the same time had come down with COVID. And it wasn't a very nice experience. In fact, it was a terrible experience. And so much so that I stopped training. I had to spend probably close to 3 weeks in bed. I didn't get hospitalized at all, but I was feeling very, very poorly. Now, after those 3 weeks, we were almost in the beginning of the new year, and I decided that as I came out of COVID and started to train again, that I wanted to look at taking on this carnivore diet a little bit more seriously. So, on January the 6th, 2023, I made the decision that I was going to transition onto the carnivore diet. Now, there's a couple of lessons that I want to share in my video today with you. Understanding that we are all different human beings, we have all different reactions to all sorts of things that we put into our body, and of course even things that we do as athletes. So coming from an athletic background, I'm very mindful of my body, very mindful of the things that I put into my body, and also very mindful of the energy output that I get when it comes to training. So when I started the carnivore diet, I went straight into what they call the lion diet. I just ate meat, eggs, water, salt, and electrolytes. That's all I had. And butter, sorry, I had butter there as well. Now, for the first few days, everything started to go well. I started to understand that I was going to have some transition issues, such as maybe some diarrhea, maybe some keto flu. I didn't have the diarrhea, but I did have the keto flu. And I started to feel, as people do as they go through that process, pretty lethargic and pretty tired. I put it all down to coming into the carnivore transition phase. So the first 2 weeks went by, and as I said in my previous videos, if you haven't watched them, check them out on my YouTube channel. I talked a lot about the different experiences I was having on the carnivore diet, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, one of the traits that stayed through the first couple of weeks on the diet was that of feeling lethargic, feeling tired. And I got a lot of comments from people saying, yes, this is totally normal. You'll come out the other side and everything will be fine. Well, I was a little bit skeptical. One, because I know my body very, very well. Prior to COVID, I had never felt as good as I do in my life, and I was feeling absolutely fantastic. As a 57-year-old guy who was punching out some pretty impressive times when it came to his athletic goals, I was really, really happy. So what changed, and how did we get to the situation I am in today after week number 3? During week number 3, things started changing quite dramatically. I was feeling worse and worse almost by the day. I said to my wife, this is not how I'm meant to be feeling. I was still doing a little bit of running, but very, very minimal amount of running. Enough to say that I was just ticking my legs over, but nowhere near pushing myself at any pace or going any extremely long distance at all. In fact, I wasn't even able to run more than, say, 3 or 4 kilometers, so just a couple of miles. So I decided that I wanted to get checked out, and with hindsight, I should have done this before I started the carnivore diet, particularly because I had had COVID, and we all know that if you've got long COVID, which after 3 weeks I was still feeling very poorly from COVID, I would say that I was symptomatic with long COVID symptoms. So we decided that I was going to go and get some blood tests done. Shared this on a number of Carnivore Diet Facebook groups, got something to say about those in a minute. And lo and behold, I was bombarded with all these expert people who are on the carnivore diet telling me, no, don't do blood tests, it's too early, you're only transitioning, blah, blah, blah. So I ignored those, of course, and I went and got the blood test that I wanted to do to check out for my body and my well-being. Okay, Wifey and I are off to another doctor's appointment. Wifey, what do you think of this doctor process?
Another one. I never went to so much doctors in my life in 1 week. It's crazy, but it's gonna be fine. Everything is gonna be fine. I know.
Well, that's what happens when you are married to a wonderful New Zealand athlete. You go to the doctors all the time. And I'm very, very thankful that I did. So after the first series of blood tests, we found out that I had something going on with my kidneys. Now, we don't know what's caused this. We don't know whether it was a pre-existing thing that was happening before I had COVID, or whether COVID has impacted my kidneys. There are plenty of reports and research around now that's coming out with data to suggest that a high percentage of people that are getting long COVID are having some kind of kidney illness. Now, whether I'm in that category or not, I am not going to speculate, but it is a possibility that I could have had some kind of kidney illness as a result of my continuation with long COVID. The other possibility is that I, unbeknownst to myself, could have had some kind of kidney illness prior to getting COVID. Now, I haven't had a blood test for a couple of years before this. However, my running form, my running ability before I got COVID would suggest that I had nothing wrong with me, because I felt absolutely fantastic and I felt nothing like I do today. So the whole transition in feeling came after I got COVID. So rational thinking would suggest, logical thinking would suggest that the COVID experience had something to do with my kidney illness. Now, because I went on to carnivore, I started to pump myself full of salt. I started to pump myself full of only meat and eggs and butter. So, of course, in the blood test, I saw an extremely elevated cholesterol levels, both HDL and LDL. I didn't worry about that because, as we all know, we get those elevated cholesterol levels because of going on to carnivore. But the other markers that I had that were all focused on my kidney markers were extremely high and actually dangerous. I was only a couple of points away from hospitalization, going on to dialysis to to maintain my kidney health. Now, that's a major concern, of course. So I was very pleased that I went and got that blood test done, and that was done during this 3rd week of going on carnivore. So I had to make some pretty big decisions in consultation with experts, doctors who were advising me, not telling me to stop carnivore, but advising me the way that my numbers are actually going. I did other tests as well. I've also had an ultrasound, hence the video here of me having an ultrasound check. And I'm pleased to say that the ultrasound came back negative of any kidney stones or any issues pertaining to my kidneys at a greater level. So I'm still doing currently some more tests. I'm doing a prostate test. I'm doing some more urine testing over the next couple of days to really get to the bottom of what's going on. But of course, pumping my body full of salt when I've got some kidney issues is not a smart thing to do. So I have transitioned off, or I'm in the process of transitioning off carnivore, and I'm going to a low carb, high meat intake at the moment, and reducing totally the butter and the salt so I can get my body back into shape. Now there's something else we haven't spoken about yet, and that is the electrolytes. There was no doubt that I had a mineral imbalance because I didn't get the electrolytes right, and that was something else that was picked up within my blood test results. So I'm really happy that I went and got these blood tests done, and I was just thinking now, hindsight's a beautiful thing, and if I had my time again, I would have got blood tests done before I started the carnivore diet. Now, whether I had COVID or not is irrelevant in my mind. I would have had a better peace of mind knowing that I'd gone in there, having my blood markers done, and then being able to measure the transition as I went through the carnivore diet. Now, I didn't do that. Do I regret it? Yes. Is there anything I can do about it? Of course not. But here we are today, and I'm trying to get myself back into better health. Obviously, kidneys are not something you want to play around with, so my priority at the moment is to make sure that my kidney health is as good as I can get it at the moment. So that's what I'm doing. I'm currently in the process of slowly transitioning myself back off the carnivore diet slowly, introducing a small amount of carbs into my system, stopping electrolytes completely for now until I get myself sorted out. Now I've got doctors looking at my blood and my urine over the next month or so, and I'm going to make conscious decisions based on the results that I'm seeing from that. I'm not listening to doctors giving me advice to stop carnivore or promoting this. I'm merely getting the scientific data to help me understanding what's going wrong and seeing whether this kidney digression of health is going to continue or whether what I'm doing now is actually going to help to maintain it. That's my focus for now. So week number 3 on the carnivore diet has been very stressful. I must say I was new. I felt within my body, both as myself and as an athlete who's always trying to perform well, that there was something going on that wasn't quite right, and I really advise people maybe to go and get a blood test before you start the carnivore diet, just so you know where you're beginning, and then make your own judgments and calls on things as you go forward. I'm not here to recommend in any way what anybody should do with their overall nutrition plan. That's up to you to find. I started carnivore because I'd spoken to a number of elite athletes and watched a number of elite athletes who had been on the carnivore diet for some time, have some significant impacts on their overall health and their performance. And as I said, I have been researching this for over a year. So I thought I'd done my homework, but what I hadn't done is I hadn't measured and monitored my own current health situation before starting the carnivore diet. Now, I've joined a lot of these carnivore Facebook groups, a lot of people on these groups raving about the carnivore diet, and I'm sure in their results that they're having some tremendous results. But be very careful. This is my only advice today in this video, I guess. Be very careful what advice you take from people in these types of groups, because your body is your body. People don't know how you're reacting and how you're feeling to things, and these people aren't expert. I had absolute benefits from being on carnivore. I had better gum health, better sleeping patterns. I felt more mental clarity. I felt stronger and leaner. And there were certain things that I felt really terrific. But after 3 weeks, I was still having those tremendously low periods of energy, particularly related to very small efforts of exercise, even walking. And I just wanted to find out what was going on, hence going and getting the blood test. I'm so happy that I have gone and done that, because now I can take corrective action. I can put things into place to get my health back to where I want it to do. And I'm going to maintain being a meat eater going forward. I've just got to find out the right balance and how I can do that with a little bit of carbs thrown in. So this is not all over for me at all. I'm just arresting the current situation. I'm doing a smart thing in my mind, getting my health back under control. I've stopped electrolytes to stop that mineral imbalance that I was obviously having. So putting all those things together, combined with what happened with COVID, and I've still got elements for sure of the COVID issues going on in my body. My wife has as well. And we want to get on top of that. So there's my week 3 update. A lot of things been going on. It can be a little bit scary and confusing going on to these new diets and the way that our bodies react. So what I say to people out there is just take care of yourself. Do what you think is right for you. Take baby steps first. I think if I look back now, what I would have done and should have done was to maybe transition myself onto carnivore in a slowly progressive way, rather than stopping one day a total high carb diet and going straight on to the lion diet. I think that was probably a mistake. I should have gone through a more simpler and slower transition. That's one thing I've learned for myself in this process. The other thing is I would definitely have got some blood results done before starting, so I had a benchmark on my current health condition. Even though I felt tremendous, I did have COVID, and I didn't understand really what the potential impact of having COVID was in moving into the carnivore diet. So week 3 is gone. Can't call myself fully carnivore anymore. I'm a carnihydrate, I guess, eating a little bit of carbs but still putting the meat in there. And focus right now is getting my kidneys under control, getting all this uric acid and very high levels of concern around the kidney markers under control, and then seeing how I can re-establish myself in being a meat eater going forward. So there we go. If you're interested in continuing to follow my journey, I'm going to post more videos about this health journey. It doesn't stop today. There's a lot of things that I need to do in terms of tests and get results back. I'm happy to share those online if it's going to help anybody at all. And of course, I'm building up to a very important physical goal of mine in a few months' time, where I'm going to be running the entire length of the UK. That's going to be around about 1,800 kilometres, or about 1,000 miles. I'm doing that as a cause that I want to support, my own cause of mental illness in the world of sport. I'm going to be aligning with a couple of charities for that run, and taking on that extensive run through the UK. So you can also follow that here on my YouTube channel. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button, the little bell notification. Every time I make a video, you know the rules. You'll be notified and you'll be able to follow me along. So I want to thank everybody for your great support. I'm getting lots of great comments from people talking about their experience with carnivore. I still want to hear those. I'm not finishing my journey around this whole nutrition, understanding my body. It's a continuous thing throughout our life. I've now turned 58, so I've had another milestone to celebrate. I'm no longer a 57-year-old professional athlete. I want to look after my body better. I want to understand it better. And I want to continue doing the right things for me that make me feel fantastic, not only as an athlete, but as a human being. So there we go. Thank you very much for watching this video. Have a great day, no matter where you are in the world. Please stay healthy, look after yourself, and go for a run if you can. It's good for you. See you again soon.